Amon-Ra. 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 What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back to talk about another one of the Detroit Lions draft picks in this year's class. And today, we're talking about the receiver out of USC, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So let's get it started.
Up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Yes! He's the GOAT! Oh, there's nobody! And welcome everybody to the video. Glad you guys are here. And we're just going to stick to St. Brown because his name, I've heard it, pronounced a lot of different ways, the first name. So I'm just going to rock with St. Brown. Okay, we're going to roll with that. The receiver out of USC that probably on draft night of the 3 draft nights, this probably was my favorite draft pick because it was someone that I thought the Lions could definitely target. I thought he'd be a day 2 pick, and the Lions scooped him up in day number 3, their first pick of day number 3. Now on draft night, this is probably my favorite pick. However, it may not be anymore. That has nothing to do with him because there's a guy that I'm really starting to like, but that'll be the next video. You guys know who that is. However, I'm still very pumped about this pick. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Lions' newest receiver to add to a receiver room that definitely needed help, but a guy that could be, very productive for the Detroit Lions for years to come. It could be a beautiful weapon for a guy like Jared Goff. Now, St. Brown, football runs in this guy's family, all right? It runs with both of his brothers. Equinemius St. Brown is with the Green Bay Packers. He was a Notre Dame receiver. So it runs in the family for St. Brown, okay? So the dude's a stud. He can ball. And he chose to go to USC. Ever since he stepped into USC, he was productive. Every single year, he was a 5-star recruit that in 2018 was extremely productive his freshman season. 2019, he backed it up with over 1,000 yards receiving. And then last year, he was really good again. In only 6 games played, the guy had over 40 receptions, which means he was basically on pace in a normal season, 12 games, to have over 80 receptions on the season, okay? Every year, this guy was productive, which is just outstanding. It's really amazing that there wasn't dips in his game. And that came with trying new things. But the fact that he was able to be that productive stepping in day 1 as a freshman is very, very telling. So we're going to talk a little bit about this 5'11", 197-pound receiver out of USC. Now, I want to go through these pro day results before we get into, on the field. So here are the pro day results. He had 20 bench press reps, which kind of surprised me a little bit. That was in the 90th percentile. I didn't expect that many bench press reps. I really didn't. But regardless, 20 bench press reps, 6.81 second 3-cone drill, which is also very good for his position. 4.51 40, which is slightly below average for the receiver position. It's not slow, it's just there's a lot of fast receivers. So 4.51 was kind of just like, okay, it's just slightly below average, I guess. He did, however, have a 39-inch vertical, which was in the 83rd percentile, and a 127-inch broad jump, which was in the 85th percentile. So basically, the explosiveness was there. The top end speed I was lacking a little bit. And then, of course, 20 bench press reps. That surprised the heck out of me. I was not expecting to see that kind of number. Now, he did not opt out last season, which is kind of nice after all the opt-outs that we've seen. Nothing wrong with it, but it was kind of cool to see a guy play last year. What's really cool about him is he switched positions. He went from 2019 being primarily the slot, where he just dominated over 1,000 yards. He just looked like a beast, and he was getting first-round buzz. He comes back for 2020. He didn't dominate as much in some people's mind. However, he was still really, really good. One NFL player that was also a former USC Trojan that had very similar measurables, who's been a deep threat in the NFL, is Robert Woods, who was also an LA Ram, and I think that may have been someone that a guy like Brad Holmes had in the back of his mind when he was drafting St. Brown, with a lot of similarities in terms of measurables there for what St. Brown can bring to the table. So what St. Brown wasn't necessarily just a huge deep play threat in college. He had similar measurables in terms of Robert Woods, who was also with the Rams. So maybe that was somewhat the Lions were taking into consideration here when they drafted St. Brown. Maybe just a thought. Let's get into our strengths and weaknesses with this game and kind of break it down into phases of a pass catcher, of a receiver, what they kind of go through on a basic route run. So let's kind of break it all down. Let's start with the release first, the beginning of the route. And there's a couple of things to like here, and there's some slight concerns. The issue with gauging a release and how well their release will translate to the NFL is that a lot of times you don't see a lot of press coverage opportunities. The level of competition can be way off from the NFL. So there's a lot of things that, are really tough to gauge here. A few things that give me optimism, specifically against the press at the next level, is that he does have explosiveness in his game, that first step explosiveness. And he's also a very strong player in the upper body. 20 bench press reps, I kind of says that alone. The issue with him is that he doesn't play with that kind of inviting contact mentality. And because of that, you'll see him downfield kind of get thrown off his routes a little bit too easily, kind of just go with it. maybe just play a little more physical brand of football because he's clearly a strong player. He could be even more dominant in situations, not only off the line, but also down the field. And I think he's very detail-oriented with his route running. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily mean, release, but I think strategically with good coaching, if you really helped him find ways to beat guys off the line of scrimmage, good coaching, he would be locked into the smallest of details, and he would be able to make it happen and kind of break down whoever's lining up across from him. The biggest concern, though, as I mentioned, is that he doesn't really invite contact, and he hasn't had tons of opportunities in press situations. So there are some questions. He does have a thin frame. He's kind of thin build at 5'11", 197, definitely on a slimmer side. So, he's kind of not built to be super strong, but he is. So I think, maybe he just needs to play with more inviting physicality to that side of the game. It's just tough. I just don't think we see as many press situations as you would think. But then we get into my favorite part of his game, and this is the route running. I think he's one of the most complete route runners in this class, and there's a lot of good route runners. Probably my favorite is Devontae Smith. That guy was just, so detail-oriented. That guy was just so technically sound with every single movement. But honestly, St. Brown's not far behind. He just has the occasional lapses that you don't like to see. A lot of players do, but he maybe have it a little bit too much. All right, so let's start off with the first thing, and this is kind of like body control. Now, I know this could honestly go to pass catching a little bit as well, but this checks a lot of boxes. I'm talking timing when the ball's in the air. I'm talking tracking the football, adjusting to the ball downfield, and avoiding contact going up to make a play. Yes, that can be thrown into the pass catching category, so you could throw it in there as well. But honestly, in terms of route running, the timing, everything like that, he gets everything synced up extremely well, and his ability to adjust back to a football if it's misthrown, finding a way to make himself an option, a play breaks down. I think you can throw those into either category. Regardless, it's special. He does that stuff at a very high level, and he does it consistently. I think one thing that I love about his route running, and as I mentioned, he's very detail oriented as a route runner. The one thing that I love about his route running is his balance. I know it sounds weird. His balance out of breaks. He is so smooth, and this is a part of Devontae Smith's game that I really liked, and I felt like him being really slim, weighing the 160, 170 pounds, maybe helped him in that area because it was really easy for him to transfer energy, put too much weight on this side, and then get kind of thrown off his balance. Everything was just so quick, and he looked so smooth. He looked like he was gliding on the field. And to a little bit of a lesser degree, I think we see the same thing here with St. Brown. The way that he can just kind of throw on the brakes in an instant is outstanding, and that's huge on curls, hitches, comeback routes, all of that. When he's working back to the football, he can run down, he can just stop right on the dime, and he can get a lot of separation. All right. It's really tough for cornerbacks to do that, to run with someone and then stop and work their way back to the football. And he can stop in an instant. He has fantastic body control in that essence as well, not only as a pass catcher, but also as a route runner. All right. So his balance out of cuts is huge. His change of direction ability gives him a lot of space. And like I said, he tries to sell things, especially downfield. He's got a full route tree. You can literally run any single route with him in the book, and he's going to be able to do it at a high level. He can just do it all as a route runner. So you can throw screens, go routes, slants, post. You can throw anything that you can think of, you can throw at him, and he can really break down that route and do it super detail oriented and get a lot of space because he just locked into the small things, and his change of direction and his balance, all of that kind of pushed into one is what's so fantastic. And we've seen it. We've seen everything him be involved in. You see, jet sweeps, you see motions, screens, you see all of this because he can be involved everywhere on the field, which makes him such a threat at the next level because there's not really a spot where you say he's going to struggle here. He's better at certain spots than others, but you can pretty much ask him to do anything. And like I said, broken down plays, that kind of thing. What are my concerns with him as a route runner? He does lack some of that get on top of the cornerback type of speed. And I think that's why on the outside, some people say, well, he didn't separate as well as we would like to see him because he does lack some of that top end speed. He lacks some of that go over the top speed. He could get over the top, but when he couldn't, some of those situations that turned into him looking for more of a back shoulder pass. We have speed guys. We got Perriman. We have Tyrell Williams. We have, Khalif Ram. We have speed guys. But a guy that can just run routes at an extremely high level and consistently run routes like that is what's huge. We have the speed guys that can take the top off. He is lacking some of that. That's not to say he's slow. All right. He's just slightly below average, about, average to below average in that category compared to other receivers in this class. It's not one of those things where you can take your eyes off him and you can work back and, it's not going to be a problem. But it's also one of those things where he's not going to scare necessarily cornerbacks, but you do have to stay locked with him. Okay. You can't leave him alone and think you're going to recover. He does have speed. It's just not like it's not home run speed. It's not Jalen Waddle type of speed. See, he does have tendencies to get kind of lazy as a route runner. To me, it seems to show up more on short routes where it's like quick cuts, like a quick little out route, things like that. And he's a little bit lazy. He doesn't really sink into those routes extremely well. And because of that, it's easier for a cornerback or a slot or a linebacker, whoever is trying to guard him, to stay connected. And it makes less space for the quarterback to throw the football because he doesn't get great separation because he kind of rounds it a little bit. But when he's locked in, I mean, my goodness, the guy can run any route in the book. He can do it at a high level. He has the balance, the flexibility. He can do it all. I mean, I love him as a route runner. You just don't like to see those lapses where he's kind of just a little lazy, kind of rounds them a little bit. You need to stay locked in consistently. And at the NFL, he's going to have to do that because he doesn't have the great athleticism that's going to set him apart. And athleticism really does set you apart in the NFL. So he's going to have to do it even more. He's going to really stay locked in. And when he does, he's one of the best route runners in this class. So I love that. Then you come to the pass catching. Really good pass catcher as well, but there are some legitimate concerns here. Not to the Jonathan Adams level, but there are some concerns. As a pass catcher, he seemingly catches everything with his hands. There's not many body catches. If he can catch it with his hands, he's going to catch it with his hands, which is very important. We talk about Jonathan Adams. Sometimes it slips through his hands. He lets it get to his body. They bounce off his chest. That's an issue. You don't want to do that. You don't want that habit. He doesn't do that. He doesn't have that habit. He has a habit to reaching out, snagging the passes, and that's huge when passes are thrown to the sideline, when you're contested, to go out and get the football, okay? If you let it come to your body, it makes it so much easier for a defender to just reach in, especially longer defenders, just reach in and knock it away. So he goes out and he gets and attacks the football, which is great. He does that consistently. His catch radius is huge too. Great vertical jump. I wouldn't say like super long arms, but just because of his body control, his adjustments, I mean, he has a really big catch radius. You just throw it near him and usually he can at least get a hand on it. And also, if the ball's thrown terribly, like in a situation where it seems like it's going to be a pick, he'll fight back to knock that ball away. All right. He's not going to just stand there and be like, oh, dang, you threw a pick. He's going to try to knock it away from the defender and play basically the defender in that type of situation. You can put him anywhere on the field. He's willing to make plays over the middle of the field. But as a pass catcher, he's a good pass catcher, catches with his hands, goes out, reaches the snag of things. And he has a very above average contested catch rate. All right. He's above average in that category. He makes a pretty good amount of contested catches. So he's had some experience there. There are some issues with him as a pass catcher that do concern me. And the biggest problem, and honestly, probably my biggest concern with this entire game isn't the top end speed. It's the fact that he was turning his head before the ball would get to him. And that's a no-no. You can't be doing that. People look at his numbers and they see concentration drops. To me, it's the concentration drops are him trying to run before the ball gets there. You'll see it many times. And sometimes he doesn't drop it, but he bobbles it because of that. The ball's getting close and he'll turn right before he catches it because he's worried about the defender that's about to hit him. He wants to figure out where am I going with the ball before I get it. And at that point, you're dropping passes. And they say, oh, it's a concentration drop. It's an easy catch. How do you drop that? He makes so many tough grabs, but how do you drop those? It's because he's too focused on everything else going on. And as much as he's willing to go over the middle and he makes a lot of plays over the middle, the body control, jumping up in the air, the leaping ability, all that's great, snagging it, he does sometimes get a little bit too caught up and where am I going to go after this catch, specifically on easy passes where it's like, hey, no one hit him. How did he drop that? Because he turns and takes his eyes off the football at the last second. And when he does that, he's not as much focused on catching the ball. He's focused on where am I going after I have the football. And that's where drops show up. I don't like that. Not like it's infixable. It's not like he has bad hands. He has great hands. He has really good hands. He just has those lapses where he's looking to go before he catches it. And because of that, he had a below average drop pass rate, which is obviously not good. So that's a very big concern. One of my biggest concerns because last year it showed up more than I think it did in the past. Not the strongest, like pulling the ball down in contested situations. Not necessarily like, okay, bring it to your body, but you know how some of those passes you can't bring it to your body, defenders all over you, and you kind of catch it at the point, at a high point of pass, and you can't really ever bring it into your body, so you kind of just have to grip it with strong hands throughout the play. I don't think he has the strongest hand there. Sometimes you can kind of get it thrown out. Like Calvin was really good at that. I mean, he could just hold on to it the entire way through. That has to do with the fact that his arms aren't that long and he has relatively smaller hands in terms of other guys at his position. And that's why he has to reach out for everything because his arms aren't that long, but his hands are a little bit smaller. So maybe that makes it more difficult for that. You don't see a lot of one-handed grabs, I guess. He does have a little bit of slim terrain, like I said, that can kind of throw him off as a route runner a little bit. Sometimes he allows him to, but it's a very good pass catcher. The fact that he's always using his hands, it's just those little lapses in his game that really hurt him. Now, he does have a lot of production from screens, things like that, so it's slightly inflated, but like I said, you can use him anywhere. I mean, you can any pass catch in the book, and his ability to avoid contact, the ball tracking, when the ball is in the air, just the leaping ability to go take it out of the air, it's incredible. And then I would say after that, once the ball is in your hands, it's about the yards after the catch. Right after the catch. It's all about that next. So how did you do in that regard? Well, he's just a little elusive. I don't think he's as shifty as a Waddle or something like that, but he's got a little, a little make you miss. I think when you look at the production alone, it kind of tells the story here. All right, not great, yards after the catch last season. Obviously, it was a shortened season. Didn't make a lot of guys miss, and I think a lot of this had to do with where he was catching the football. He's at the slot position. He's really good at making guys miss because at that point he's going to get safeties, linebackers, guys that he can really make miss in space. Outside corners, those faster players that are much quicker, can really mirror you once you have the football. Doesn't make those guys miss as often. Now, when he has the ball in his hands, he's not really shying away from contact. So it's kind of weird. Certain phases of the game he does more than others. Doesn't really shy away from contact once the ball's in his hands. He's very willing to fall forward, take a hit, and he's going to run after the catch. It's a great job of, as soon as he catches, looking upfield. But like I said, sometimes he does that too early, and that leads to drops. So as fantastic as he is, as I got the ball, I'm going, there's no really, dead time between there where it's like, okay, gather, then run. It's catch and go. Because of that, sometimes he's too caught on running before he catches the football, trying to make a play once the ball's in his hands. So he's a playmaker. It's not like you're going to throw it to him and it's like, okay, that's where he is. That's where he caught it. Not making a play after the catch. But he's more effective to me from the slot and making guys miss, which makes sense. As have a little bit of make you miss because his change of direction and balance is so good. But it's not like, okay, watch out. This guy, changes into Jalen Darden as soon as he catches the football. Like, I don't see that. And of course, the home run speed isn't there. That top end breakaway speed where he's gone, that's not really there. Good blocks, couple big block pickups. Yeah, it's going to be tough to run him down, but he's not going to, gap players necessarily. He's not going to make it so your angle doesn't even matter if you have an angle on him. And then I would say blocking. Like I said, scouts usually don't take this too much into account from what I've read. However, he will block. He's actually very willing to fight his way into the play, try to get involved in a play, try to get in a situation where he's in front of a defender. He does it a lot. He's running down plays 30 yards away from him, trying to get involved. The thing is, once he gets in that situation, he doesn't really do much as a blocker, okay? He gets there, he puts himself in position, but he doesn't stay connected that well. He doesn't play with a lot of physicality. He doesn't seem to invite contact that much as a blocker. He will block, he just doesn't move people out of the way, which makes sense. Like I said, he's a slim build. Strong as he still is a slim build, but he'll get himself in positions which kind of just annoys the heck out of the defender because he'll keep running around and stay in front of you, but he doesn't really push you out of the play that often. But like I said, he's a very willing blocker, downfield, screens, so you can put him in those situations. You want to throw a screen, someone you want to have block, he can do that. He's probably not going to put anybody in the dirt.
Don't drop that dirt.
But he can hold on for a couple seconds, he can, get in front at least of the defender. Willing blocker, just not like a great blocker, he just isn't, like Jonathan Adams has laid some big blocks. You don't really see that as much from St. Brown. I think this is a guy that can move the slot. He was extremely productive every single year. You can play him outside, you can play him inside, just depends on matchups. But with our speed, the guys that we have on the outside, I think you put him in slot. He's kind of like a big slot, but I think why he was such a mismatch problem at USC is because it's tough to match up with him. Borderline 6 foot tall, not extremely tall. Ability to go up and snag the ball in the air, his willingness over the middle makes him tough as a slot because he can really change direction. So quick routes, slants, breaking routes, things like that. Really tough for guys to keep up with. So slots can keep up with him sometimes, but the issue is he's usually taller than them. He's usually a little bit bigger than them, and we know he has the strength. Linebackers, they're just too slow to keep up with most time. And safeties don't have the change of direction and the full package like he has to mirror with him like a cornerback could. Last season, where he played about 2/3 of his snaps on the outside against outside cornerbacks, he still usually was beating man coverage. And then against zone coverage, what you like about him here is, like I said, he's got a very big catch radius. He can sky, and he really sits down well. He can kind of put on the brakes, so he can kind of find like the little holes in the defense. And then once the ball is anywhere near him, he can go and make a play on the football because he adjusts so well, So it gives him a big radius for a quarterback to throw through in his zone coverage. His ability to just kind of find those holes in the zone, find the soft spots in the zone, like they would say. So in zone coverage, you can argue he's even better against zone coverage because he can kind of just, find the little spots. But even against man coverage, he consistently won on the outside, which is impressive considering that he doesn't have the great top end speed. Mismatch problem in the slot, and he's got good size where it's a pretty nice target for Goff. Like I said, you don't have to be dead on pinpoint accurate where it has to be in his chest. You just got to get it close. And he can really go up and take the ball out of the air. So I think that's why he was so great from the slot. I think outside he's going to be good. He was good. But there are maybe some caps and limitations because he just doesn't have that get over the top type of speed right now, at least. Maybe he can add a little bit, but he just doesn't have it. But man, his crispiness and route running, his ability to just throw on the brakes, change the direction, balance, it's beautiful to watch. It really is. And like I said, as long as he's not taking his eyes off the ball too early, he's a very reliable weapon for any quarterback. And I think Jared Goff specifically is going to feel very comfortable with a guy built like this, that has the catch radius he does, that catches everything with his hands, that will stank it. You don't have to put it right on him. You just got to get it somewhat near him. He can make plays with the ball in his hands. And he's kind of a matchup problem from the slot position, just like he had with Cooper Kupp. He wasn't the fastest guy. He was a little bit bigger, though. But either way, I think it'll be similar to that. And like I said, he's got versatility. You can line him anywhere. You can put him at slot. You can put him on the outside. You can run jet sweeps, screens, everything that you can imagine he can do, because he does the details. He does the small things. In the NFL, speed is not enough. All right, if it was, Amir Smith-Marset would have been a first-round pick. It's just not enough. There's a lot of fast guys that don't do a lot in the NFL. It's about the little things. And when he's locked in, he does the little things at such a high level. The issue is just those occasional lapses. I think in the NFL, we're going to see less and less of that, because he's going to have to stay locked in. Going to be a day one impact. I don't guarantee you he'll be a huge impact for Jared Goff in his first year. There's a reason this is the type of receiver that they brought in. It kind of gives the line something a little bit different in the receiver room. They have the speed, they got some size. This gives you something a little bit different, some size and route running at such a high level. One of the best route runners in the class. My favorite pick on draft night. However, my favorite pick may be our next video. This was a third-round pick out of Syracuse, a cornerback. This may end up being my favorite pick looking back at it. And we'll talk about him in our next video. So stay tuned for that. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Give me some grades down below. What do you guys think? You know, I think his role is going to play a lot of the slot and mix in some outside. What do you guys think? Give me a grade for St. Brown. If you want to give it an A, I ain't mad at you. The dude's a beast. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.